What is happening, Saints fans? Hope y'all are having a wonderful Wednesday. Welcome into another live edition of Saints Now by Chat Sports. As always, I am your host, Trizzy Trace Girouard. No matter where you are or how you're watching, we greatly appreciate the Who Dat Nation for making us a part of their day every single day. We're going to be live for the next hour and a half or so discussing the latest around the New Orleans Saints. We'll be talking about my favorite plans for the offseason, my offseason wish list, if you will. I'm actually going to dive into what you guys have to say for your offseason wish list. And then we're going to talk about Kendre Miller because he is likely returning this week. So to get this comment section started, I want you to help me out, and I want you to help me rally around Kendre Miller. Get those 2 5s in the chat for me. Type his jersey number because Kendre Miller, in my personal opinion, I like to call him Big Play Kendre because when he touches the football, the guy is making plays. So shout out to U.S. champ Queen Courtney for getting the party started. We also got Jerry G in the house, so shout out to him as well. Jartavius Nathan, shout out to you. U.S. champ, as always, getting those 2 5s in the comment section. This is a part of our audience build-up portion of the show. So to those of you who are subscribed and have your noties on, I appreciate you. We're going to let some other people pile into the live show because we're going to have more Saints fans tune in the longer we're live. So if you can help me out, hit the thumbs up icon and type 25 so we can get more Saints fans present. Reem Rich is typing 25. John Edwards is typing his coffee emojis. Yeah, I got, honestly, not coffee, but pre-workouts because I'm a little tired, so cheers to that, John Edwards. U.S. Champ says, I'm going to the Giants game on Sunday. That's pretty sick. I'm jealous of you for that one. Yeah, I'm actually really excited. I'm excited for this game. I don't necessarily care if we win or lose, to be totally honest. More like, in terms of team morale, I'd love a win, but I'm also like, look, I can understand why we don't want to win. It doesn't really matter either way. I just want to have a good time on game day with my friends at our watch party like we have every single game day. And guys, if you want to actually go and get tickets to a New Orleans Saints game this season, I understand this year's been a lot of doom and gloom. Hasn't been a lot to really cheer for, but you can actually get tickets for pretty damn cheap for this Commanders at Saints matchup on December 15th. Marshawn Lattimore will be suiting up in a Washington Commanders uniform for the first time against his former team in his former home stadium. So if you want to get tickets for pretty cheap, you can use promo code CHATSPORTS at checkout and you'll get $20 off your first purchase. And when you go back and look at the prices of those tickets, I saw $36. I saw about $40. So you take $20 off that. If it's your first purchase, you can go to this Saints game for $16. Feels like a pretty good deal if you ask me. So download the Game Time app. Use code CHATSPORTS to get $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply, but Game Time also has an awesome feature called Game Time Picks that filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on seats you're actually interested. That way you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets that you know you're not going to buy anyway. So plug in promo code CHATSPORTS in the redeem code section. It's CHATSPORTS. Chat Sports, Game Time, $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply, so download the Game Time app today. What time is it? It's game time. Alrighty, I want to get into this comment driver as well because I think this is somebody or something that a lot of people can be opinionated on. And we did just get a $5 super chat from my guy, Alex Cortez. He says, Trizzy, I love you, man. Hey, Alex, I love you too, my brother. I love you. You love me. We're a happy family. Is that Barney or what? Barney, yeah. So, Alex, you're my Barney the dinosaur. I appreciate you, my man. But let's get back to this discussion. Colin, we've been talking about it. Yep. I made a video about cutting Derek Carr. If you actually move on from him and designate him as a post-June 1 cut, you can save up to $30 million in cap space. That being said, I don't think Jake Haener or Spencer Rattler gives you a better chance to win over Derek Carr. So when it comes to next season, what would you do? Would you cut or would you keep DC4?
See, that's the thing that like a lot of NFL fans, they have to consider whenever they're making a move like this, especially with the franchise QB such as Derek Carr. If you're going to cut him, what's the next course of action? Are you going to start Jake Haener? Are you going to start Spencer Rattler?
Exactly.
Are you going to draft somebody? I mean, whomever, right? Are you going to sign somebody off the street? Personally, for me, I don't think it makes a lot of sense to get off of Derek Carr. To be honest, Derek Carr's played pretty well when he has been healthy for the Saints so far this season.
For sure.
And to be honest, I'm not going to say that Derek Carr is ever going to be a top 5 QB in the NFL. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying he's ever going to be the leading charge of a Super Bowl team. You never know, right? But for right now, it's what it looks like. that doesn't mean you should move off of him, because ultimately you have to sell this team to the locker room, to the veterans, DeMario Davis, Cam Jordan, a lot of these guys that are on the team that they're not trying to look for a rebuild right now. Derek Carr gives you the best chance to win in 2025 and probably in 2026 based on the Saints' current situation. So I would personally keep Derek Carr. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, the Saints do have a lot of cap space to clear up for 2025, about $77 million in cap space that they have to clear. And when it comes to Derek Carr, I think you bring up a lot of good points. I mean, it would be, you'd save a lot of money, which is nice, but unless you have a true plan of action between Jake Haener or Spencer Rattler, what's the, like, you really can't just say, oh yeah, cut him, we'll figure it out. Like, if you want to win next year, Derek Carr gives you the best chance right this second. Obviously, we don't know how things will go in the offseason. We don't know how well these two players will develop. Behind the scenes, it's not a lot of discussion about them too, because it's mostly Derek Carr, considering he is your quarterback one. However, we do know this about Derek Carr. He is a player that is extremely frustrating, not necessarily super exciting outside of those first 2 weeks. And to be totally honest, like, the national narrative around Derek Carr is not anything super spectacular. There's the very few super diehard Derek Carr fans that are just Fresno State fans, and I can understand why they want to support Derek Carr, but let's stop treating him like a top 10 quarterback. He's not. He's simply not. He is a quarterback that is aggressively league average, which is okay, but if we're talking about rebuilding and we're talking about tearing some things down and starting young and starting fresh, then I do think cutting Derek Carr makes some sense. I'm kind of like, every day I'm back and forth, because one day I'm like, you know what, I'd rather compete and try and win next year, but then there's also the part of me that's like, look, Derek Carr's not going to be here for the next 5 years. Why not just get the $30 million in savings now and just move on and start earlier? Like, why not start this rebuild earlier, considering there will be a new head coach and there will be a new coaching staff, probably for the most part. Maybe Rizzi and Kubiak stick around, but who knows?
And, I mean, you tell me, Trace. I mean, if they were to move off Derek Carr, right, I mean, they would be essentially committing to a rebuild-type style. Unless,
absolutely.
Again, maybe in OTAs or maybe in the offseason, Spencer Rattler, Jake Haener, or whatever, shines. And again, that's a whole different discussion.
For sure.
If they cut Derek Carr, what moves would they have to correspondingly make because of that, right? Because obviously you wouldn't keep the same team, because then obviously there's some players that just wouldn't be on the New Orleans Saints timeline at that point.
No, I think you bring up a really good point in that. Like, if you do cut Derek Carr, like, you have to be prepared for the game plan. Like, that's a really good point. I think that's a really, really good point. In our live poll, 66% of people out of 65 votes are saying cut. 34% say keep. A lot of people in the live chat are saying cut. I can understand why. I think that he is a player. We know who he is. We know he's not ever going to win us a playoff game. We know he's not ever going to take us to the Super Bowl. And at the end of the day, like, right now, I want to focus on getting back to the playoffs. But don't we all have Super Bowl aspirations? So why put our whole, next couple of years into the hands of somebody who's never won a playoff game? Like, I don't know. I don't hate Derek Carr. I think he's a fine quarterback. I just think he's aggressively average. That's okay. I'm tired of being aggressively average. I want to be better than average. I want to be above average. I want to be good. I want to be a feared and respected team. God forbid I want my team to play well. So, oh well. Now let's talk about it. What's on your off-season wish list? The first segment that we get into today, it's all about things that you, the Who Dat Nation, want to see and what would be a perfect offseason for the New Orleans Saints. I do want to tell you guys, it's pretty cool. I put out a post on social media, so if you want to be a part of it next time, I encourage you to give me a follow on Twitter. I'll put the link in the chat right now for you guys. If you give me a follow,
it's also on the bottom of the screen, too.
It's on the bottom of your screen as well. So you can click the link that's in the live chat. You can search this name right here, Trace Girouard 48 on Twitter. And if you follow me, I'll give you a shout out real quick. I've been doing a lot of Twitter spaces, been giving you a lot more interactive and informative and engaging content and whatnot. I've been really stepping up my social media game because I'm trying to give you guys the best possible coverage across the entire internet around the black and gold. So if you don't mind, go ahead and just give me a quick follow on social media. I'll put the link in the live chat, and you guys can help your boy, just continue to grow his social media footprint and all that fun stuff. But, for me, I know a very popular answer for what's on your offseason wish list, Colin, is fire the general manager, Mickey Loomis. That is a very, very popular discussion topic amongst Saints fans. And, what do you think about, so just, I don't know if you know this, Colin, Mickey Loomis is the most tenured GM in the National Football League right now. He has been active as a GM longer than any general manager in the league.
I knew he was there for a long time. I didn't know he was the longest.
He is the longest active tenured GM right now, which is pretty cool. I think that there is something to say about that. But I also don't think he's had necessarily the most illustrious resume the past few seasons. I think that there's been some questionable hiring decisions, some free agency decisions, some draft picks, and not all of that falls on Mickey Loomis because he does have a staff. But when you're the boss, it's a how the thing and how the team and how the company works is a direct reflection of the boss. So,
100%.
John Taffer, there is no excuses. You either manage and you take care of business, or you let it go to shit. Like there are no excuses. You either a good manager and a good leader will figure it out and make it work in the best way possible, or they will crumble. And I think we've seen a lot of crumbling from Mickey Loomis recently, but a lot of people are saying fire Mickey Loomis. Queen Courtney saying if only we knew the year Knicks would have. It's such a hard discussion, Queen Courtney. Would you still draft or would you draft him? If you know Bo Nix is going to be a good quarterback, yeah, you're going to take him as early as possible. I'm kind of still in the belief of Bo Nix as a fine quarterback. I was not a believer of him in coming out of college. A lot of his stats, a lot of his production came from quick passes in the screen game. He did not have a large depth of target in terms of his passing.
Yep.
I just think that Bo Nix is a quarterback that is in a really good system under Sean Payton.
Yep.
And when it comes down to it, most quarterbacks in the draft, about 80% of it comes down to the scheme, or not to the team that you go to. 80% of that comes down to how the cards fall. If you go to the Chicago Bears, I'm sorry, that's a death sentence. As a quarterback, it is. Is it not?
The
New York Jets, it's a quarterback death sentence.
History has shown us, that's the case. Raiders, too.
Raiders, exactly. I'm all, oh, cool, let's draft Shador. Cool, let's draft, I think if the Lions draft Shador Sanders, he's in a much better position than if 100%. The Raiders draft Shador Sanders. I'm not saying the Lions will, but you see what I'm saying? I think a big part of that is the scheme and is the team that he's in and how good the coach is and stuff. So, Queen Courtney, if I knew that Bo Nix was going to be really, really good and arguably be the best quarterback in this draft class,
you know who he kind of reminds me of?
Maybe. Who? Don't say Drew Brees.
No,
I was going to say, don't say Drew Brees.
No.
Too many people in the draft prospects were like, oh, he's like a miniature Drew Brees. I'm like,
I know, I remember it. You know who he actually reminds me of?
Who?
Brock Purdy. He kind of is
I do like that.
Comes from he's in an offense where he has a great offensive mind leading him. He's a distributor of the football. Doesn't have the greatest athletic skill set. Doesn't have the biggest arm, but is smart, can process quickly, sneaky athletic to where it's not like anything crazy or anything like that, but he can, pick up a first down here or two. He can extend plays. And look, Bo Nix is fine. He's doing it with not a hugely talented roster there in Denver. I think he has Cortland Sutton and not much else outside of that. It's also fair to mention that his stats are getting slightly overblown a little bit and slightly out of success. And I get it. He's had a really good stretch. Trace, do you realize that if you would have taken out, and again, I hate when people do this, but I'm going to do it because it helps my argument. If you take out his 91-yard pass that he had on Monday Night Football, he was 50% completion percentage, 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, with a quarterback rating of 44.
Yeah.
It's not great. No. And again, he's a rookie. He's learning to develop and everything. I get that fans want the new shiny toy that's doing well, and they want that to see for the team. And
for sure.
I get it. But let's kind of let this thing marinate a little bit, and let's see how he looks throughout the rest of his rookie contract, years to come, all that stuff before we're we should have really drafted that guy.
Absolutely. And I also do think when it comes to Bo Nix, look, it's not that he's not a talented player. If you're getting drafted to the league, especially in round 1, you're a talent. You're good at football.
You've got something.
You're good at football. I don't care if you're a bust. I don't care if you're not. You have something. You have something that somebody who's paid a lot of money sees in you. And I'm just saying, I think that's something that's valuable. Alex, I'm also with you on this. I would wait for Arch Manning. I don't want to draft a quarterback this year. I want nothing to do with drafting a quarterback this year. I don't want to add to the quarterback group. If you cut Derek Carr, whatever. Go get some cheap free agent guy that can be a bridge. But I'd rather just go with Hayner or Rattler at that point. I'm just not in the camp of force a quarterback draft pick this year. I don't really like any of the quarterbacks this year. I like Cam Ward, but you're not going to go get him. Shador Sanders is a really good football player. You're not going to land him. I just would rather fill offensive line, defensive line, safety, cornerback, wide receiver. Hell, I think running back is a bigger need than quarterback right now. And I just think that next year's draft class is significantly better. And look, if we're going to be shitty next year, we might as well go get Arch. Ain't that right, producer Tex? Might as well get Arch. Might as well just go ahead and get Arch. Why would I want to sit around and why would I want to go get Will Johnson or whoever it is in round 5 when I can get Arch next year in round 1? I mean, come on. Bring the Manning back to Louisiana. He played in Louisiana. Tex, damn straight he did. That's what I want to see. I want to see Arch come back to the boot. That's my personal dream here. Alex Cortez says off-season wish list: fire Mickey Loomis, extend Will Harris, draft Will Campbell, and Damian Martinez. Draft O-line, extend Derek Carr, and see if you can rehire Dennis Allen from Joe Hamilton. Okay, I'm thinking Joe might be a Falcons fan. On a scale of 1 to 10, how happy would you be if Aaron Glenn is the next head coach? I'd say solid 7.9. I'd go 8.2. 8.2. I'd be happier than an 8. I wouldn't be like, oh my God, this is the best hire we could have possibly made. That'd be Ben Johnson. But I also don't hate Aaron Glenn. I've actually made a 10, 15-minute video about why I think Aaron Glenn would be a really good head coach for the Saints. So if you haven't seen it, I'd go check that one out. Producer Tex, whenever you are ready to get this party started, we're going to start off with the Saints fans' perfect offseason. And that will get started here. We're going to react to some of the fans and some of my followers on social media. I put out a post. I asked for you guys to respond to it because I wanted to get the Houdat Nation's opinions and their thoughts in this video. So if we could move that L3 text to these. Yeah, you're good. You're good. You're good, brother. We're going to talk about the Saints fans' perfect offseason plan and everything that they want to have and on their wish list and stuff. And I'm going to make sure I shout out every single one of you in the comments as well who are hanging out with us live. So, J-Mo, he sent in a $2 super chat, a playmaker receiver. J-Mo, we'll pop that up here. Tex, could you put J-Mo's super chat in the show at some point? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put the social super chat from J-Mo. I'm going to put that right there. Yeah. Go for it, brother. Go for it. We just put a new link in there right when we went live. So the link should be good to go for the next hour, I believe. And then we've hit the ad read and build up. We've hit all that stuff. So all we got to do is just run the script, brother. All we got to do is just run this babe. I almost said run something else, and I don't think I'm allowed to say that word on the internet anymore. Yes, that's the one. That is the one. Perfect. Yeah, so we'll go to that social, and then we'll go to that super chat, just back to back, because they're both about the same thing. You know what I mean? If that works out with you. All righty. Duke saying, I really want Ben Johnson, but it's not happening. I'm with you. I would love Ben Johnson. It's not realistic, though. Just full transparency, it's not realistic. All righty. Texer, whenever you are ready, everyone get in the comment section. Type text for me because he has joined us in the studio. So everyone show some love to producer Tex. He has been the #1 leading guy in the Get Arch to the Saints train. He's been in Arch's DMs every day. He's been in Arch's girlfriend's DMs every day. He's been hitting up Peyton and Eli and Archie saying, hey, your kid's coming back to the boot. Ain't that right, producer Tex? I mean, he's a Longhorns guy, so, that makes sense. Makes sense.
Straight. Bring him back.
Love to see it. Shout out to Tex, J-Mo, Jerry G, Pelicans, Nola, all showing him some love. All righty, Tex. Whenever you are ready, by the way, I just want to give you one quick note for just the whole live show. First segment, game time. Second segment, public rec. Third segment, game time. So in between this one and the next, I'll have to swap shirts. So we'll find some full screen graphic to go to. Cool. Thanks, buddy. All righty, let's talk about it. Cartel, what's up, man? How you doing? Good to see you, my man. All righty, let's talk about it. Whew. This is going to be a fun one. I'm excited about this segment. Saints fans wish list. I'm actually really excited about this show today because we're going to dive into what a Saints fan's perfect offseason would look like. So what I did is I posted a graphic on my Twitter account. I asked for people to respond, and so we're going to include those responses, and we're going to include the responses in the comments section in today's video about what Saints fans want this perfect offseason to look like. So if you want to get in the future video, you want to be featured next time on the show, feel free to hit me up on X at TraceGirouard48. You see it right here. You see it right here. You also see it in the comments and description of this video. I post a lot of Saints content. I have a lot of fun hot takes, fun graphics, interactive, informative content, and I'm just trying to, increase my social media game a little bit. So feel free to hit me up if you want to be featured in a show next time. So this was the graphic that I posted. I posed this question, and let's react to your ideas. This was the post. I posted this graphic. I thought it was a pretty good little thing. What is your offseason wish list, Saints fans? And the most popular response, and by no shocking factor whatsoever, fire Mickey Loomis. The biggest thing that New Orleans Saints fans want to see, according to the responses on my social media and in my comment section, as I see right now on Saints Now by Chat Sports, live right now every Wednesday afternoon, the most popular response is, we got to fire Mickey Loomis. And I cannot say that it shocks me whatsoever. I think that Mickey Loomis has been not great, to say the least. I don't think he has the most illustrious resume over the past few seasons. I also will say this. I don't expect the Saints to fully rebuild. I don't think that the New Orleans Saints are going to tear this all the way down to the studs and hire a new GM. And I could be wrong. And to be totally honest, I wouldn't hate if I'm wrong. Mickey Loomis has been the longest tenured GM that is actively a general manager right now in the National Football League. And, to a certain extent, that says something. But like I said earlier, he doesn't have the most illustrious and the most beautiful resume in recent memory. And with the National Football League, and especially fans, it's, what have you done for me recently? And, we can go back to this report from Ian Rappaport not too long ago. And he said that New Orleans isn't planning an overhaul. Maybe they definitely plan to get younger. They definitely plan to clear up some cap space here and there, but they're not trying to tear things down to the studs. They're not trying to completely rewrite this football team. So when it comes down to whether or not Mickey Loomis should be fired, I think that realistically, if there's a change, the biggest thing is he'll just take a step down, or he'll take a step to the side, or have a new role, and maybe like Kai Harley or somebody can get promoted to GM. But according to Saints fans, they all want Mickey Loomis fired. That was evident by the post on social media. That's evident in the live chat, and that's evident by the comment section on my YouTube channel. Now, I want to go into some of the responses from Twitter. DeWright saying many wants. He's got many, many wants for the team. But a definite need is a quarterback to navigate the pocket. And so I'm going to go ahead and just tag team this one. A quarterback that can navigate the pocket. I can get jiggy with that. I like that idea. But Ronald Davis posed a pretty interesting one. What about Justin Fields? We've talked about Justin Fields coming to the Saints on this channel a handful of times in the past. But when it comes down to him this upcoming offseason, he will be a free agent. If you remember, the Bears traded Justin Fields to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And ever since then, he's kind of taken a backseat to Russell Wilson. And they've kind of favored Wilson over Fields in the recent weeks. And I do believe that you could possibly get Justin Fields on a team-friendly, prove-it type deal. Maybe it works out long term, maybe it doesn't. But in 2024, 65.8 completion percentage, 1,100 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 1 interception. And on top of that, when you talk about Justin Fields, you also have to address the fact that he is a good runner. 61 carries, 281 yards, 5 touchdowns on the ground. He's averaging over 4.5 yards per carry. As a quarterback, I can get down with that. And to be totally honest, whether it's Justin Fields, whether it's somebody in the draft, whether it's somebody internal like Jake Haener, Spencer Rattler, I'm tired of watching Derek Carr. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of watching uninspiring, not fun football. Like, I'll say this, at least when Jameis was around, we were having a good time. At least the vibes were fun. At least the locker room was bought in with him. I'm not saying that the locker room's not bought in Derek Carr, but look, his biggest supporter being Dennis Allen isn't a part of the team anymore. I'm in the camp of I think Justin Fields could be a really fun addition. There is, of course, a lot of options in the draft. For me, in a perfect scenario, I'm in the camp of don't draft a quarterback this year and go get Arch Manning in the following year. I'm just all for going and getting Arch. I don't care that it's, far down the road. That's not what I'm interested in. I'm not interested in going and getting a Shedeur, a Cam Ward, a Will Johnson. I don't care. I don't want a quarterback this year. You can either run it back with Carr, you can cut him, save $30 million, and run it with Spencer Rattler, Jake Haener, or shit, maybe you go and sign Justin Fields and one of these other free agent quarterbacks that'll hit the market. I'm just tired of Derek Carr, so I want to hear what you guys have to say. If it comes down to these two players, give me a DC for Derek Carr or a JF for Justin Fields. Who do you want to be the quarterback next year if it's between these two guys? I don't think it's going to come down to it, but I do think that this is a conversation to have. I would love to see Justin Fields. At least it would be fun. At least you'd be able to see him escape the pocket. At least you'd be able to see him run the football every once in a while. I think that'd be a hell of a lot more fun than watching Derek Carr continue to throw it out of bounds and hold on to the ball too long. Now, if you do want to go watch the New Orleans Saints play, or if you want to go get tickets to the New Orleans Pelicans or any of these teams in the Gulf Coast region, or really all across the country, I highly encourage you to download the Game Time app. You can get $20 off your first purchase if you use code CHATSPORTS. That's CHATSPORTS. Use code CHATSPORTS to get $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply with that. But Marshawn Lattimore returning to the Superdome, and it will be the first time that he rocks a Commander's uniform. That'll be on December 15th. So if you want to see Sean back in the Superdome, you can get tickets for pretty cheap. $20 off your first purchase. You look at the ticket prices right now. I mean, I'm seeing $36. I'm seeing $40. You're pretty much getting those tickets for over half off. I think that's a pretty good deal if you ask me. Game Time also has a brand new feature called Game Time Picks. It filters out the fluff, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets that you know you're not interested in anyway. So download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS to get $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Download the Game Time app, redeem code CHATSPORTS to get $20 off your first purchase. Reminder, download the Game Time app. What time is it? It is game time. All right, now Austin Stevens, he did send me this tweet, or he replied with this post. I thought it was pretty interesting, and I love the idea of going to get Ashton Ginty. But Austin, I want to just say I appreciate you for watching the content. I appreciate you following me. In case you didn't know, Austin does work as the New Orleans Saints game day stat reporter, which is pretty cool. He works up in the press conference for the New Orleans Saints, so maybe he has a little in here. I don't know. That'd be pretty dope. I'm just kidding. Anyway, long story short, I love the idea of going and getting Ashton Ginty. But if he's off the board at the New Orleans Saints pick, or if the Saints view other positions a bigger need, let me introduce you to Cam Skattebo. And I did put out a full 7-round mock draft yesterday. It's actually been getting a pretty good amount of views. So if you guys want to see who I want the Saints to select in my first 7-round mock draft, I highly encourage you to go check it out. It's linked in this video. Cam Skattebo. This guy runs like a freaking Mack truck. He is very hard to tackle. He is running at you a mile a minute. He is a reliable pass catcher, and he is really good as a dual threat running back because he can run and pound the rock, or he can catch the ball and break away for a long game at any point in the game. He is a north and south runner, but he also does have the lateral quickness to be able to move east and west to avoid tackles and create space. And you see the production on the screen. He has been absolutely phenomenal. 17 touchdowns on the ground, 2 through the air for Cam Skattebo in the Arizona State Sun Devils. I would love this option. I do think running back is a need for the New Orleans Saints. I don't think it's the biggest need, but I do like the idea of a running back group of Alvin Kamara, Kendre Miller, and Cam Skattebo. I think that could be a really good addition. Jamal Williams, in my opinion, is not a part of the long-term future. I think the Saints move off of him this offseason, and I think Cam could be a really excellent addition on day 2. More likely day 2. I know I have day 2 or 3 draft target, but he strikes me more of a day 2 pick. Then I think it's only going to get better, and his draft stock's only going to rise as we go through the pre-draft process. Now let's talk to sad who dat boy, make Saints great again. Unfortunately, that is something we have to do, is make this team great again. A wide receiver room that doesn't look like a high school roster. And actually, we're live on Saints Now by Chat Sports as we are filming this video. We go live every Wednesday afternoon, so subscribe, turn on your notice so you can join the program. J-Mo, he also added this to it. I want a playmaker receiver. So I think I can just go ahead and combine these two. You want a receiver? You also want depth? You want a guy who can make some plays? Well, I got some options for you. Let's go to the draft first. You can go get Tetairoa McMillan. I do think that he is a really good wide receiver. Luther Burden, in my personal opinion, could be more realistic as a Saints draft pick. I think Tet McMillan could go before this New Orleans Saints pick. Emeka Egbuka, I really like Ohio State wide receivers. They tend to work out. Isaiah Bond, he was really good for Alabama. He's been really good for Texas. And Trey Harris is a bigger-bodied guy. I'd like to see him line up as an X receiver. I think that that's something that the New Orleans Saints are missing. And to be totally honest, any of these 5 guys on the screen, if they went to the New Orleans Saints in round 1 or round 2, I'm through the roof about that. But if you wanted to address it in free agency, if you didn't have the ability to draft one of those guys, or if you wanted to just get higher level, higher experienced talent in the wide receiver room, you can go the free agency route. T. Higgins will be a free agent this offseason. So will Chris Godwin, Amari Cooper, DeAndre Hopkins, and Stephon Diggs. And obviously with Stephon Diggs, he is a player who had a very bad injury for the Houston Texans. He'll have to get through that and rehab that injury in order to return next year. But needless to say, he's still a talented wide receiver, and he's still a player that no matter what, a defensive coordinator has to plan for. Now, another really popular idea, and I didn't really want to include it off the top because, I think that there's just more important things that you guys had to say. But a really important idea and a really popular idea behind Fire Mickey Loomis was a diverse coaching search. It's not let's go look at just a handful of guys internally. It's let's look at special teams coordinators. Let's look at offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators, former head coaches, college coaches, all of it. Let's go through a full diverse coaching search. And I agree with that. I don't really want to hire a college coach, but I think that it's important to get as many interviews as possible. I think it's important for the New Orleans Saints to address as many people as possible, because right now there's no one guy who has stuck out and been the guy, in my personal opinion. I think Darren Rizzi has made a really strong case to return to the New Orleans Saints. But if they want to go and get another guy, I don't think it should be limited to internal hires between Kubiak and Darren Rizzi. Go in and interview Aaron Glenn. Go interview Ben Johnson if you can get him to come down to New Orleans. Interview some of these top candidates so that way we can possibly see the best outcome for the New Orleans Saints, and we can go ahead and speed this rebuild up a little bit. I also really like the idea of Joe Brady, the offensive coordinator out in Buffalo. Now, let me get your opinions here, Saints fans. We've been talking a lot about what you guys have to say. Who should be the New Orleans Saints head coach next season? Let me know in the comments. I want to hear what you guys have to say because, totally honest, I like the idea of a Darren Rizzi, but I also think that there's some really good candidates out there that the Saints have to at least bring in for an interview. So get down in the comments. I want you to sound off and put your GM hat on for me. Now, that's going to do it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed the content. For more interactive content that gets you guys on the show, we do some things very differently at Chat Sports. And one of those things is audience interaction, and it's Chat Sports. It's not Trizzy Sports. We're having a two-way conversation. I want you to be a part of my show just as much as I want my show to be a part of your day. So be sure to subscribe, lock us in, Who Dat Nation, and y'all stay golden. We will see you next time. Booyah. All righty. Tex, could we pop up the draft targets? I want to go draft targets here. I want to talk about this real quick because when it comes down to these 5 players, I think all of them are a good option. But Saints fans and the live chat, I want you to tell me of these guys on screen, who is your favorite option as a wide receiver? And honestly, if there's somebody I don't have named here, shout them out. I want to hear what you guys have to say in terms of who the next wide receiver draft pick should be for the Saints. Again, I like Tetairoa McMillan. I think he can be a good player. I will say he's kind of slowed down in the second half of the season. He started off red hot, and he has been really good. But, Tex, could you just fill us in? You're a Texas Longhorns fan. Talk to us about Isaiah Bond for me.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So I believe he spent 2 years at Alabama before transferring to UT. I'm not super familiar with his game there, but I know at least this season he's been really dynamic for Ewers as a downfield passing option. He's got pretty solid yak, yards after catch for those that are wondering.
For sure.
And I think that in the playoffs and down the stretch, hopefully after we beat Georgia in the SEC championship game, he'll give himself a little bit more tape, and I think any team would be lucky to have him. He kind of reminds me of he might drop a little bit more later, kind of like Adonai did last year. I could see him maybe going in the second round potentially.
For sure.
On.
Well, and one thing about these guys on screen here too, I like Isaiah Bond because he is a burner and he's a talented just catcher of the football, just purely as a receiver. But Luther Burden, he is more of a slot guy. There is truth to that. However, he is a guy that isn't just limited to lining up in the slot. He can line him up outside. You can line him up on the slot. You can have him be involved in the quick game. You can have him get involved in a deep game. I like to think of Luther Burden as a Deebo Samuel light. Let me emphasize the light part of it. I don't think he's a carbon copy of Deebo Samuel, but I do think when it comes down to the usage and how the Niners in the past have used Deebo Samuel, maybe you can get a little bit of that in Luther Burden. He is a talented player. He has some rushing abilities. I think this could be a really good option for the New Orleans Saints. All right, coming up next, we're going to talk about Kendre Miller. Kendre Miller is the next discussion topic because good news, Saints fans, he was back at practice today. He was a full participant. Let me say that again. Kendre Miller was back at practice and a full participant. It's good news right there. I would say that's some good news. Duke says we need a true wide receiver one. I don't disagree with you. I think Chris Olave has the ability to be that true wide receiver one, but the jury's still out in that regard. I don't hate the idea of, my thing with T-Mac is he a wide receiver one? Probably. But is he? We don't know. Honestly, you can make an argument for any of these guys to be a wide receiver one, to be totally honest. What's up, brother? Yep. I want to get it done quick. Yeah, so the goal of the next video is watch time. So we're going to go ahead and do the public rec read early. We're not going to have a lot of breaks in the action, and we're going to talk football. Well, winter now because we're in December. AFX, ball. Signed Bumper Pool. You'll get a Hall of Fame linebacker. Bumper Pool. Fun fact, Arkansas Razorback legend. I did go bar hopping with Bumper Pool on multiple occasions. We were 21 years of age. Bump's I wouldn't say he's a good friend of mine. He's somebody that I was friends with in college. He went on to be an undrafted free agent, I believe is to the Carolina Panthers. But Bumper Pool, he's a linebacker at Arkansas. Really good dude. He's from Lucas, Texas. I think it'd be a pretty good addition. To this. Me being very biased because he's an Arkansas Razorback. He's not on a roster for a reason. He's just a Razorback. And woo pig, baby. Woo pig. That's all I have to say. All righty. Goodness. I'm dying over here, folks. If I'm lying, I'm dying. Just kidding. All righty. Kyle says, I like Burden, but I'd go with Harris or Bond. That's why I wanted to give you options. I don't like any of them more than the other. I think these are just all 5 good options. That was kind of the point with that. All righty, Texer. Let's get into segment 2, Kendre Miller. JMO says, stay healthy, brother. Caught bronchitis and COVID. Dude, that is a brutal combination. Yeah, I'm hoping that I'm okay. I'm hoping I don't get sick. I have a wedding this weekend in Arkansas on Saturday night. So bright and early, about 4 a.m., I will be driving back from Arkansas to do a watch party. So don't say I don't love you guys, and don't say that I don't care about this football team, because to be totally honest, I don't know very many people who are waking up at 4 in the morning to drive 5.5 hours to then go live for 4.5 hours talking about the Saints versus Giants. Of all games, Saints versus frickin' Giants. Can't tell me I don't give a shit about this team. Can't tell me I don't. Maddie says we will be driving back. Yeah, well, Maddie will be driving. We'll see about that. It's my car, so we'll see about that. But yeah, we're gonna be going live, and your boy is more than likely solo. So that's gonna be a rough one. That's gonna be a very rough one. I'm just gonna be totally transparent with you guys. Not the biggest need, but Genty and get Mark Ingram. Yeah, no, Ja Kessler. I'm with you on that. I think that's exactly that. AFX is asking who's Maddie. Maddie is my girlfriend. Maddie Holland in the chat. That's my girlfriend. AFX. AFX wants me and Chase Sr. back together. I appreciate you saying that, brother. However, I've been grinding my absolute butt off here at Chat Sports, so that way I don't have to be in the producer chair anymore. I've taken on a new role where I'm doing a lot of I'm doing all of our Saints content every day. But on top of that, I'm also our social media coordinator. So that there's just a little bit of that. There's a little bit of that. I'm trying. I work my butt off. I really appreciate the time that I had as a producer. I still love being a producer. But he's got Jake Chipper right now. They're both Philly guys, and I think it's a good little combo for the two of them. All righty. Let's dive into it. All gas, no breaks. Kendre Miller, we're talking about it. Let me pull up my sponsor read. Cool. All righty. We're going to talk about it. Texer. Whenever you're ready. So Kendre Miller will likely return this week from Let me restart. Reset. Sorry. This is how the sausage is made. All right. We're going to reset here. I just had a brain fart, and I was like, what are we saying here? All right. Let's get back into it. Kendre Miller returned to practice on Wednesday, December 4th, Saints fans. So we're going to discuss what the upcoming week should look like for number 25 because he's expected to return to game action. And Darren Rizzi saying that for number 25, it's going to be all gas and no brakes. Welcome into Saints Now by Chat Sports. My name is Girouard. Thank you so much for tuning in. No matter where you are or how we're watching, I greatly appreciate the Who Dat Nation for making me a part of your day. Now, today's show would not be made possible if it weren't for our awesome friends over at Public Rec. I know you see this shirt. I know you're thinking, dang, Trace, you're looking like a stud muffin. It's because I'm feeling like one. And it's because Public Rec has the most comfortable and best-looking clothes that you can possibly get. And don't even get me started on the Daybreaker pants. They are so comfortable. And fellas, I know that you're in the market for something that looks great and fits even better because that's my exact situation. And so when it comes down to the holidays, I'm going to be rocking Public Rec at every family holiday festivity, and you should too. Whether you're kicking it back with some holiday movies or you're making your way through leftovers or watching some bowl games with the fellas, these pants will have you covered. Heck, they'll even keep you looking sharp for that awkward holiday party with your in-laws. Now, Public Rec not only has the most comfortable pants ever made, but they have a huge selection of high-quality everyday basics. You can revamp your entire wardrobe with the perfect fitting polos, shorts, and hoodies. So stop suffering in regular pants and give the gift of comfort this holiday season. For a limited time, our listeners get 20% off when you use code CHAT20 at checkout. That's 20% off with the code CHAT20. That's chat20 at publicrec.com. After your purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. So please support our show and tell them that Saints Now by Chat Sports sent you. Say goodbye to pants that put up a fight because when comfort meets style, you have found Public Rec. Now let's talk about this. There is no question about it. In case you guys forgot, remember our old head coach, the big bad man, the evil, Dr. Doofenshmirtz, evil scientist kind of guy, Dennis Allen? Yeah, so I don't know if you guys know this. He placed Kendre Miller on IR out of spite. Just straight up, that's what it is. That is what happened here. Ross Jackson put out a really interesting article that laid out a lot of information about the move to put Kendre Miller on IR. Dennis Allen, he 100% mishandled Kendre Miller's hamstring injury, and he suffered that injury in the loss against the Los Angeles Chargers. And if you remember, earlier in the offseason, he was placed on IR due to a hamstring injury. Now, this injury was on the other hamstring, so it wasn't quite the same injury, same type of injury, different leg. Realistically, he didn't even need to go on IR at all. Let's just dive into what Ross said. This lays it out perfectly. Per the source, the original plan for the running back, number 25, Kendre Miller, who, quote, tweaked his hamstring against the Los Angeles Chargers in Week 8, was to proceed with caution and keep him out of last week's Carolina Panthers matchup, but ultimately have him return in Week 10 against the Falcons. Now, quick disclaimer, this article was written a handful of weeks ago. Obviously, the Saints didn't play the Panthers last week, but this is pretty telling. It was described as a tweak. I don't know very many athletes who go on IR and have to miss 4 weeks because of a tweaked hamstring. And I'm going to just be totally honest. As a fan, I get the frustration. I understand why people have a sour taste around Kendre Miller. I mean, I'm a little bit frustrated as well, to be totally transparent. However, I don't think we've really gotten to see a fair hand of Kendre Miller, and I think that a lot of that is due to Dennis Allen. Let's go back to what Ross Jackson's saying here. Apparently, former head coach Dennis Allen, quote, had a lot to do with it, talking about placing Miller on IR. One source suggests that a lack of trust in Miller's ability to stay healthy may have been the driving force of Allen's motivation. And again, I understand that idea. I understand that that fans and that Dennis Allen has his reservations with the health concerns. But let's stop pretending that Kendre Miller is some guy who doesn't care and doesn't want to show effort. He wants to prove himself. When he got drafted, he said, I'm coming for Alvin Kamara's job. We all laughed at him. We all said, no, okay, buddy, take a quick step back. I kind of got me fired up. He wants to prove himself. At practice on Wednesday, we filmed this video on Wednesday for the record, he said that, Kendre Miller, during time with media, he made it very, very clear that he didn't feel like he needed to be placed on injured reserve. He said he was actually running full speed ahead of that Panthers game, which was his first weekend on IR. So he may not have even missed a game. Like, just goes back to it. Dennis Allen mishandled this situation and just completely misread it. He put him on IR out of spite. He put him on IR because he was tired of dealing with it. That's what this is. And let's go back to more from Ross, who, again, Ross does phenomenal work, and that's why I want to discuss this, because it is so telling. When asked about this situation, Miller said that he has his own desires to prove that he can stay healthy and contribute to the team. He's aware of the public's perception of his health and injury concerns and wants a shot to prove those assumptions wrong. But he is motivated to exonerate himself of the doubts and earn back the trust of fans and anyone else that may have questions about his capacity to stay on the field and make plays. And I'm actually really excited to see more of Kendre Miller. I think he's been really good in the limited action we've seen him. 10 games played, he has 1 touchdown, and it was a really, really nice touchdown against the Falcons last year in the final week of the season. It was like a little pitch play. Miller got the ball like 8-ish yards back, give or take, and he made like 4 different defenders miss. He ran through a couple of them. He made a couple of them miss. Like, Kendre Miller has been really, really exciting, and when you saw him check into the Broncos game, when you saw him check in to the Chargers game, it was electric. He made good plays. He made really good runs. He ran hard. He ran physical. And this is a player that just has not been given an opportunity to show what he can do. I really am excited to see more from Kendre Miller. I have high expectations for Kendre Miller. And look, he's not Tajay Spears. You're not going to have Tajay Spears. To be totally honest, Tajay hasn't really done a whole lot this season either. So I want to see more from Kendre Miller. I want to give our guy a chance. I think he has the ability to be a good running back for long term. Again, questions and juries are still totally valid on whether or not he can be healthy. He's healthy. Let's see what he can do. That's what I want to see the rest of the season. Let's see what Kendre Miller can do. So let's go ahead and rally around number 25. I like to call him Big Play Kendre because I think he's a guy who's one big play away from getting himself into the starting lineup. Type those 25s in the comment section. Starting lineup next year for the record. Maybe not starting lineup. I think it's just a guy who makes a lot of big plays and has the capability to break open a big play at any point in the time. But anyway, point being, rally around Kendre Miller with me. Type those 25s. It's his jersey number in the comments section. All right, I want to give a little bit more credit to Ross, who put out this tweet the other day. Lots of praise from Darren Rizzi to Kendre Miller. He's going to have a clean slate. He's not going to be in the doghouse. And Kendre Miller, if you remember, he was in the doghouse when training camp was going on. And when Dennis Allen was speaking about Kendre Miller, he said, look, that's a player that's going to learn how to get healthy. He's going to have to learn how to stay on the field if he wants to make the roster. And, sources tell Ross, Darren Rizzi, it's all gas, no brakes for Kendre Miller. And when he makes his return to the field, he'll be going up against a very, very poor Giants run defense. And we can look at the statistics and how well that they perform this year. They allow 148 or 145.8 rushing yards per game. Ross Jackson pointed out they are the 29th run defense. That is a fact right there. They also give up over 1 rushing touchdown a game. They give up over 28 yards, or the opponents, rush the ball 28.6 times a game against them. And they also give up the most in terms of yards per rush. Fun fact, the Saints are number 31, so not a whole lot better, but the Giants are dead last in yards per run. And Alvin Kamara, he does have a really good history against the Big Blue. 61 carries in his career versus the Giants, 320 yards on the ground. He also has 91 yards through the air and 3 touchdowns all on the ground against the New York Football Giants. And, at the end of the day, this is a guy that's going to be leaned on a lot. And I do think that Kendre Miller will be leaned on a lot. Taysom Hill, he's out for the season. He is out for the year. He tore his ACL. That is a fact. And when it comes down to Taysom Hill's injury, it's just outright horrible. The Saints are going to miss him. There's no question about it. But fortunately, you are getting a player back in Kendre Miller who can make some plays. He's not Taysom Hill. He's not even close. Not even going to entertain that idea. But I think that Kendre Miller gives the Saints another option to run the football, to give Alvin Kamara a break at least every once in a while. And, Jamal Williams is another player who could return this week. He missed a couple of weeks ago due to a groin injury. He got a limited action last week against the Rams. He did play against the Rams, so not could return this week, could pop off, or could have a bigger role this week is really what that should say. That's on me because I built this graphic, so sorry about that, guys. But could have a bigger week. Jamal Williams, he could be leaned on a little bit more. Again, to the point that Taysom Hill is out for the season. I just think that when it comes down to your running or your rushing attack, it's going to be Alvin Kamara, Jamal Williams, Kendre Miller. Taysom Hill's not in the fold anymore. So you're going to have to lean on those three guys to make some plays because God knows we do not have a lot of wide receiver talent. Healthy right now. Don't have a lot of healthy wide receiver talent. I got to make sure that you guys understand that. Subscribe and join. We're going to be going live for Saints vs. Giants. We're starting at 11 a.m. Central Time. Fun fact, I'm going to be driving back from a wedding in Arkansas at about 4 a.m. Sunday morning. So if you guys want to hang out and have a little bit of a delusional watch party for the game of the century, Saints vs. Giants, Drew Lock versus Derek Carr, that's can't miss TV right there. I'm waking up at the ass crack of dawn to drive to cover this game. So all I ask you to do is just subscribe and join and come hang out. We're going to be giving away a Saints Christmas sweater, and we're also going to have a very special limited edition Saints Now Yeti Cup that will be sent out to one very lucky winner. So if you want to be the recipient of one of those two items, subscribe and join the watch party. Now that's going to do it for us today, Saints fans. I greatly do appreciate you for making us a part of your day. Y'all stay golden. We will see you on game day. Booyah! 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 All right, I gotta pop the top. Change shirts one more time. So, Texer, let's go to that one. Yeah, that's perfect. Let's talk about this one. All right. Obviously, Chris Godwin is kind of like a I don't know. I in good conscience can't sign Chris Godwin. However, we would just be doing ourselves a disservice if we didn't at least mention him because he is a good receiver. Arguably the second best receiver available in free agency. Amari Cooper is a good player as well. He's dealt with some injuries this year since being traded to Buffalo from Cleveland. DeAndre Hopkins, I just don't see a world where the Chiefs are going to let him go. But they don't want to bring him back. I know a team that could use him, and that team wears the black and gold, and that team is down in Louisiana. And Stephon Diggs, another talented wide receiver, a diva. F that guy for the Minneapolis Miracle, but hey, you're telling me that you wouldn't want a little bit of that action on the Saints wide receiver group? If you're telling me you don't want that, you're absolutely crazy. But yeah, so we're going to go ahead and talk about my perfect offseason plan here in a moment. I just got to change my shirt real quick for you guys. Sorry. Full transparency. I am now ready to talk about some Saints football. There we go. All righty. So we're going to talk about my perfect offseason plan, or my wish list, I guess you could call it. I think that there's a handful of moves that the New Orleans Saints have to make. I think it's a handful of decisions that they have to do. And I think there's actually a lot easier of a path to, the rebuild being done and fast track. I think it's a lot easier than we're giving it credit for. Maybe I'm an optimist. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm not, but look, I also think that the New Orleans Saints are a team that needs some help when it comes down to their roster. They have a lot of high-end talent, but they're lacking in the back-end talent and the depth, if you will. Mick Swagger said, I forgot that Kendre Miller was on the team. Yeah, I mean, I don't blame you, man. I don't blame you. I want no part of Diggs. He's a toxic diva. I don't disagree with you. I don't. He's a good receiver. He's a good football player, but he is a little bit of a diva, if you ask me. So, that's something you'd have to take into consideration. Are these guys going to be good locker room fits? Are these guys going to be good guys to have on the team? That's just full transparency. I am not. What happened? Okay, cool. Sweet. All righty. Chase saying Drew Lock versus Derek Carr. Queen Courtney said, I'd love Higgins. The rest have had injuries lately. Totally fair. I want no part of Diggs from Alex Cortez. Cartel says T. Higgins without question. Yeah, no, T. Higgins is definitely my top option here. He's a physical player. I think he could be really, really good for the Saints. He fits exactly what they need. He fits exactly what they need right now, and what you've been missing since Michael Thomas has been gone. And we're not bringing back Michael Thomas. I'm not even going to entertain that idea. But I do think you need a guy who can put up the type of play that Michael Thomas put up because he, you can say what you want about Mike now. You cannot deny that he wasn't. You cannot tell me that he wasn't a really good player there for a few years. I take Stephon Diggs because thanks to Marcus Williams, I'm scarred for life. That's funny, Slid. Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm with you. We actually had a question today in the studio. Who is or what was the most heartbreaking sports moment in your life? And I said the no call. A bunch of people were like, not the Minneapolis Miracle. I'm like, no, because that was just a F up by Marcus Williams, who's not even on the roster. Like, the no call, like, truly screwed the Saints long term because that was the year that Drew Brees was supposed to get a second Super Bowl. That was the year that it was supposed to be Brees versus Brady in the Super Bowl. But they wanted to do Goff versus Mahomes. Like, okay, yeah, that's fun. That's fun. And the most uninteresting Super Bowl in the history of the NFL. Yeah, no thanks. Queen Courtney says, I like them in order as they are on screen. There you go, Queen Courtney. I appreciate you. Yeah, no, Slit, I'm with you. My biggest moment for sure is the no call, but yeah, Marcus Williams. Fun fact, I was in a fraternity in college. That game was on the first day of our Hell Week. I took my pledge binder and I threw it across the room in my pledge trainer's apartment. He was not a fan of that. I did not sleep very much that week. It was pretty funny. It was pretty funny because he was like, I hope that was worth it. And I was like, I replied, I said, I'm gonna keep it real with you. Nothing you do is gonna make me more pissed off than what just happened. And yeah, I stood on business. I stood on business right there. I stood on business. That's what I was doing. All righty. What were you fixing? Because we should be good. Okay, we're good to go? All right, let's talk about it. Last segment of the day. We've been live for 56 minutes now. We're going to do one more segment, and then we're going to sign off, and I am going to go pick up a tux for this wedding, so I get to go do that. I'm sorry. Perfect. That's perfect. That's perfect. That's perfect. Let me see here. I'm just now remembering I have to close down the studio today, but I have to go pick. Okay, Men's Warehouse closes at 9. Thank God. All right. I'm gonna be honest. The new people should be closing the studio down. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. We have 6 new people at Chat Sports who started. Raise your hand if you think that the new people should always have to do the grunt work and do the shit that we don't want to. Been here for 3 years. I'd rather the new people do the grunt work. That's just me, though. And I see you, Trace, drinking now, huh? Daniel, this is water with some pre-workout in it because I was a little tired coming into live. But I'll pour some more water in there for you. Yes, I am drinking. I am drinking a lot of water because I like to hydrate. Jameis says, low-key, you're right. No, I am right. I am right. Like, the new people should do the grunt work. The new people should do the shit that I don't want to do. I've been here for 3 years. Why are the new people not doing it? Like, we've all had to earn our keep in some way, some form or fashion in any sport, job, whatever. You have to earn your keep. Earn your keep, new guys. Take the trash out. Do the dishes. I don't want to. JMO says, drink some Red Bull. Well, I would have, but we didn't have Red Bulls at the office. All I had was this pre-workout. All righty. Let's party. B. Jammin says, Carr can go because this season is truly over without Olave, Shaheed, and Taysom. It was truly over even if they were all healthy because they have they are now, 4-8? So, yeah, it's not going to go well. What's your top 5 position buffs for the Saints? I don't know what a position buff is. I don't know what that means. Daniel, it's good that it's water. Yes. Ben as head coach and the best free agent quarterback to get rid of Carr. Option. Definitely an option, Queen Courtney. All right. Tex, I'm going to hit a reset. I'm going to hit this, and we're going to start it. All righty? Who Dat Nation, I want you to get down in the comments section because the other day I put out a video that put together your wish list, the perfect offseason according to Saints fans. So in today's video, I'm going to give you my personal wish list. But get down in the comments section, share your thoughts. I can't wait to see what you have to say. Welcome into Saints Now by Chat Sports. My name is Trace Girouard. No matter where you are or how you're watching, we always greatly appreciate the Who Dat Nation for making us a part of your day. So my first thing on the offseason wish list, we're not wasting any time. We're just getting right into it. I want a quality head coach. And what do I mean a quality head coach? I want a leader of men. I want somebody who's a winner. I want somebody who doesn't make excuses. I want somebody who's going to change the trajectory of the New Orleans Saints. Here are 5 head coaching targets that I think could be really good options for the New Orleans Saints. Darren Rizzi as the interim head coach. He currently is the interim head coach for the New Orleans Saints. I think he's an excellent option. I think he is right now, as it stands on Wednesday, December 4th, the time of filming this video, the leader in the clubhouse to be the next head coach. But I don't think Aaron Glenn is all that far behind, and I also think Joe Brady is that far behind either. Ben Johnson is a dream target for me. I just don't see why he would want to come to the New Orleans Saints. There's some chatter out there that he's actually interested in the Bears. But Mike Vrabel, he's a guy who, no question about it, could stable the ship here. He could definitely have a good impact for the New Orleans Saints. So when it comes down to it, I like all of these options right here. You have a nice variety of a special teams coordinator, some defensive minds, some offensive minds. And I think the most important things for the New Orleans Saints to do is to have an extensive head coaching search that is very wide variety. That's not, hey, let's only look at internal guys. Let's only look at external guys. Let's look at all the guys. Let's look at every option, and let's make the best decision for the team. Now, off-season wish list number 2, I want some talented wide receivers. I don't want back end of the roster, guys. I want guys who are going to challenge Chris Olave to be wide receiver 1. Full transparency. I want guys who are going to be dogs, who are going to be playmakers, who are going to make an impact the second that they rock that Florida league. Now, here are 5 draft targets in no particular order that I think could be really good additions to the Saints roster. Tetairoa McMillan, he is a phenomenal wide receiver out of Arizona. I think him and Trey Harris fit the size profile and the usage profile of being an X receiver that the New Orleans Saints have been missing ever since Michael Thomas hasn't been a part of the active roster. Luther Burden, a really dynamic slot receiver. I think he could be an excellent addition. I also like Emeka Egbuka and Isaiah Bond, the Texas wide receiver, who is also a standout for the Alabama Crimson Tide. But I can also tell you, I don't think you just address this in the draft. I think you got to go free agency as well. So whether you want to prioritize wide receiver in free agency or the draft, that comes down to the team's preference. For me, I don't hate the idea of drafting a wide receiver, but if you want to sign one of these guys on screen, I love the idea of T. Higgins. He is exactly what this Saints team is missing. Stephon Diggs, a little bit of a diva. DeAndre Hopkins, I just don't see a world where the Saints are going to let him, or the Chiefs are going to let him get out of there. Amari Cooper, both him and Diggs have dealt with some injuries. So has Chris Godwin throughout this season. But I think when it comes down to it, T. Higgins is my number 1 free agent target as a wide receiver. I also wouldn't hate the idea of Chris Godwin. Just hey, F you to Tampa Bay. We'll bring him in. Why not? I think it'd be kind of funny. Long story short, you do have a lot of options in the draft and in free agency. Of course, way more than what we've already shown you. And we're going to get into some more plans in my perfect plan, in my wish list, my Christmas wish list for the New Orleans Saints offseason. But first, got to say shout out to Game Time for sponsoring today's video. Game Time is my favorite ticketing app, and it's the best ticketing app, and to be totally honest. And when you download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS, you'll get $20 off your first purchase. And you can use those savings to get yourself some concessions or some gear at a Saints game, a Pels game. There's bowl games coming up here right around the corner. So if you want to see any of your teams play anywhere across the country, $20 off your first purchase when you download the Game Time app and use code CHATSPORTS. Terms do apply with that, by the way. And I will also tell you guys about Game Time Picks. It's a new feature. It makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks basically just filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on seats that you're actually interested, so that way you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of seats that you know you're not going to buy anyway. So download the Game Time app, use code CHATSPORTS, and get $20 off your first purchase. Tickets to see Marshawn Lattimore return to the Superdome are very, very cheap. You can basically get them for half off, maybe even a little bit more so depending on your seat, when you use code CHATSPORTS, code CHATSPORTS, $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. So download the Game Time app today. What time is it? It's game time. So I don't know if this is my biggest thing. I mean, it kind of is because it's something that has to happen, but something that I think is let's not push this off. Let's just take care of business. Let's just get it done with. Rip the Band-Aid off. I want to clear some cap space. I'm tired of trying to restructure and renegotiate contracts and trying to make it work, and I'm just over it, man. I'm over it. When it comes down to the New Orleans Saints, next year they're about $77 million over the cap. They got a lot of money to clear up. But it's actually pretty easy. If you make 4 moves this offseason, you can actually save over $64 million. So that makes this number much easier to navigate. And you can restructure some of these younger players and go ahead and clear up some of the money for some of the players are a part of the long-term future. So here are 4 steps to save $64.5 million. 1, this is one that'll likely happen. It will happen. Ryan Ramczyk retires, you save $18 million. Don't know if this one happens. I don't think this one technically will happen. But if Cam Jordan retires, you save $11 million. If Derek Carr, if you restructure his contract, you'll save $30 million. And if you just restructure Eric McCoy, who you should restructure, because I think he should be a part of the long-term future, you save $5.5 million for a grand total of $64.5 million. Now, when it comes down to Derek Carr, you don't just have to restructure him. You could also just outright cut him. If you cut him this offseason and you make him a post-June 1 cut, you designate him as a post-June 1 cut, the Saints could save $30 million. If the New Orleans Saints want to trade Derek Carr, first things first, Carr would have to waive his no-trade clause. They could save up to $40 million if that's a post-June 1 trade. So there are ways to move off of Derek Carr, and there are players that you could cut. There are players you could restructure. There are players that could retire. There's a lot of things that you could do in order to clear up some cap space for this upcoming season and for the future. To be totally honest, I think all of these are really good options. I just want to see the Saints clear up the money, and I don't want to see them kick too much of the can down the road. Do it a little bit for some of these guys who are going to be a part of the long-term future, but Derek Carr, not a part of the long-term future, if you ask me. Demario Davis, I love the guy. He's not going to be playing high-level football in 5 years. Cam Jordan, same thing. Tyrann Mathieu, same thing. I think he's got a couple good years left in him, but I'm just kind of in the boat of I love what the Saints have in their roster in terms of the veterans. They're just not getting the job done, and that's part of that can be to blame with Dennis Allen. Part of that is you can tell by the record. Saints just got to make some money. They got to clear up some money, and they got to save some cap space. And I think the easiest way to do it, rip the Band-Aid off. Let's do it in one season. Let's just get it done with. Let's not try and force this to work over the next 5 years. No, just let's rip the Band-Aid off and make the tough decisions and save all that money. But I want to ask you this question. What would you do with Derek Carr? Would you cut him or would you keep him? Understanding that Derek Carr likely gives you the best chance to win next year. I don't think Spencer Rattler or Jake Haener give you a better chance to win right now, next season, than Derek Carr. You're going to have dead money. You're going to have to pay him money at some point. Do you want to cut Derek Carr? Do you want to keep him? All things considered. I know a lot of people don't want to keep Derek Carr. I know a lot of you guys want to cut him and get rid of him. I can understand why, but for those of you who haven't shared your opinions, it's time to sound off and get down in the comments. All right, another big one for me. I want some run stoppers. I want run stoppers. I'm tired of being shitty against the run. I am tired of being the second to last or one of the worst rushing defenses in the league. It's really frustrating. The New Orleans Saints right now rank 31st in opponents' yards per rush at 5.1 yards per carry. The only team that's worse is the New York Football Giants. Who's your opponent this upcoming week? I'm tired of being terrible against the run. It's just a joke. Quite frankly, it's a joke. This is a professional football team. Let's act like professionals. Let's make the decisions. Let's cut the players who aren't doing well. Get rid of the players who aren't contributing, who are a part of the problem, and let's address the issues. I will say this. This is kind of an interesting stat. I accidentally actually found this stat. Wasn't even intentionally looking for it, but the New Orleans Saints have 2 out of the 3 worst run defensive grades among all defensive tackles in the National Football League. So what I mean, every defensive tackle in the National Football League, I'll have a run defense grade according to PFF. The New Orleans Saints, and the bottom 3, 2 of those players belong to New Orleans. The first one, Brian Brzee, with a run grade of 28.8. That's not good, but he's never been a run stopper. He's always been a pass rusher, and he's on pace to lead defensive tackles, all defensive tackles, in sacks this season. So I'm going to give Brian Brzee a pass. But Nathan Shepard, a run defense grade of 29.5. Just not cutting it. So let's talk about some run stoppers that the Saints could go get. Whether it's draft whether it's free agency, here's 10 options for you. Mason Graham, Walter Nolan, Alfred Collins. I think all three of those guys are very underrated, or not underrated, but I think those are really good fits. When it comes to Alfred Collins specifically, Dane Brugler actually put him in round 1 in his most recent mock draft, which, to be honest, I think is a really good thing. He is underrated in my opinion, but you could also go get Tyleik Williams or Deonte Walker. All of these guys, I think, would be really good options for the New Orleans Saints. They're all really good against the run. They're all really good for their respective football teams. But, of course, Michigan doesn't have just Mason Graham. You could also maybe go with Kenneth Walker, I believe. Kenneth Grant. Kenneth Grant is his name. Kenneth Grant, the defensive tackle for the Michigan Wolverines. He's also an option if you want another one. And in terms of free agents, it's just kind of tough. There's not a lot of great run-stopping defensive tackles. It's hard to see who is going to be available because a lot of teams, when it comes down to players that are going to be available, it's just not going to work out because they're going to want to bring him back. So just, full transparency there. I think the best route for the New Orleans Saints is build it in the draft and let's build something for the future. And I'm going to be totally honest with you. It's going to be a very, very busy offseason. A lot of changes are going to happen around the black and gold. So you don't want to miss a thing. And I know that the offseason is not for another couple months, but do you want to miss anything? Do you really want to take the risk of never seeing one of our videos again and being like, damn it, who did that husky guy with the beard that has the gold chain? Who did he say that the Saints should draft again? Who did the Saints interview for their head coach? What players are they going to go draft? I'm going to be here and telling you everything you need to know. So subscribe right now for everyday offseason coverage and everyday in-season coverage as well, including multiple live shows a week. Lock us in 100% free Saints content. Now, the last thing on my offseason wish list, I did not include Fire Mickey Loomis because, like I mentioned off the top of this video, we went through a video reacting to all of the fans of the New Orleans Saints and what you guys wanted as your offseason wish list. That was what you guys wanted. I only had 5. I'm going to go with this. I think improving the O-line is a big thing. I also don't think the Saints are going to fire Mickey Loomis. I think if there's a change there, he takes his own step to the side or takes a step back and somebody else kind of moves into his operational role. But let's talk about draft targets for the offensive line. Because I think that the New Orleans Saints, across all 5 positions on the O-line, could use a little bit of help. So for the tackles, what about Kelvin Banks Jr. or Will Campbell? I think that those are both excellent options. In terms of guards, Tyler Booker or Tate Ratledge. Full transparency, if the New Orleans Saints don't draft Tate Ratledge, I will riot. The guy looks like a all-pro defensive line or offensive lineman. I mean, he's got the mullet. He's got the stash. We have to draft him. The eye test, he passes it. I don't care. I don't even need to look at any of his production. I want to draft him. Jake Major, sent out of Texas, I think could be a good insurance policy if Eric McCoy continues to deal with injuries next year. But let's look at free agents as well. Because for me specifically, in terms of adding players that can contribute right now, I think free agency is a better route. But if you can land and nail your offensive lineman draft picks, you're saving yourself a lot of money, you're saving yourself a lot of stress, and you're setting yourself up for the future long term. Trey Smith is going to be one of the highest rated free agents across all positions this upcoming offseason. So I think that he is a guy that the Saints should at least bring in for a call. James Daniels, he's been dealing with an injury this year, but he was playing excellent football before that injury. Ronnie Staley, Drew Dahlman, and Garrett Bowles to round out this list. But like I said, I think that across all 5 positions, the New Orleans Saints could use at least depth. I'm not saying that they need a new starter at every single position. I think in terms of the guards, you need a long-term left guard. I think in terms of the tackles, Trevor Penning and Talius Ifuaga have been good. Eric McCoy is your guy at center. You just need some depth in case there's some injuries or in case things need to switch around. So I want you to answer this question for me. What would you do with Mickey Loomis? I gave you my take already. I know a lot of you guys have a fired up opinion about this. What would you do with Mickey Loomis? Would you fire him or would you let him stay? You're Gail Benson. Put on your Mama B high heels, I guess you could say, and put on your president, owner, whatever hat you want to call it. If you're making a decision for the general manager, what are you doing? Are you firing Mickey Loomis or are you letting him stay for one more season? And that's going to do it for us, Saints fans. I greatly appreciate you for making us a part of your day. I hope you guys found today's content entertaining, informative, and engaging. And if you want more content like this, again, don't forget to subscribe, but y'all stay golden. See you at game time. Booyah! All righty, we're going to hop on out of here. Grubs Seeker says, what do you think about drafting a quarterback in round 1? I hate that idea. I hate it. I think it could not be a worse pick. You're a better off drafting Ashton Genty than a quarterback.
Unless it's next year for Arch Manning.
Yeah, next year for Arch Manning for sure. Not this year. Not this year. Because you're not getting Shedeur and you're not getting Cam. They're going to go picks between 1, 2, and 3. It's going to be in any particular order. Travis Hunter, Shedeur Sanders, Cam Ward. Those are going to be the top 3 picks. That's just how it is. I don't like any other quarterback in this draft in round 1. I don't. To be honest, I don't even want to draft a quarterback this year. I'd rather go and get Arch next year. Call me crazy. I want nothing to do with it. I'm not very high on this quarterback class. I'm sorry, I'm not. I think Quinn is a talented guy. I think he needs a lot of work, though, for the professional level. Cartel likes Jackson Dart in the 3rd. I don't. Gonna be honest, I don't. Like, here, I'm actually gonna tell you my mock draft that I had here. I posted a mock draft yesterday. And it's my first 7-round mock draft. So in round 1, bear in mind, I don't necessarily remember everyone who's off the board. But I do remember Tetairoa McMillan, Will Campbell, the top 2 defensive tackles, and then all the quarterbacks. Like, all those were taken the pick before me. So I went with Luther Burden, the wide receiver out of Missouri, in round 1. In round 2, I went with Kenneth Grant, the defensive tackle in Michigan. In round 3, I went Denzel Burke, the cornerback out of Ohio State. In round 4, I went with Ashton Girouard, the edge rusher out of Louisville, and R.J. Maryland, the tight end out of SMU. In round 5, I went Cam Skedabu, the running back out of Arizona State. And I also went with Lathan Ransom at pick 187. At pick 244, Jay Higgins, the linebacker out of Iowa. And at pick 250, I went KJ Jefferson because Woo Pig, that's why. That was my pure reason. And also, it could be really fun to see him be like a lot shittier of a version of Taysom Hill. Saints need defensive end first, in my opinion. We'll disagree. That's okay. I don't think Chase Young has been great, but I also think we're really seeing the pain of not having high-end wide receiver depth. We have a couple high-end players, but we have nobody behind those players, and that's a big problem. You don't win in the National Football League with with no wide receiver depth. I know the Chiefs are a prime example of that being not the case, but hate to break it to you guys, we don't have Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. That's an anomaly. It is an anomaly. Queen Courtney says wide receiver than DB. Cam is old. Yes, he is old. There you go. All right, we're going to hop on out of here. Saints fans, we've been live for the past hour, 15 minutes. I really appreciate you guys for hanging out, rocking and rolling with us. Reminder, we're going to be live on game day an hour before kickoff at 11 a.m. Central Time. If you want to get more content in between now and then, subscribe, hit me up on social media. And as always, I really appreciate you guys for hanging out with us on our live show. Y'all stay golden. Content coming out in the next 10 minutes.